Hello everyone and welcome to In Her Shoes, where we step into the real stories behind remarkable women. This is a podcast where we sit down with women who have done incredible things across different industries. Women you might look at and think, wow, she's made it. But this isn't a podcast about overnight success, because the truth is, it almost never happens that way. What really inspires me about these women isn't just where they've ended up. It's the courage it took to get there. The moments they backed themselves where it would have been easier not to. The times they faced fear, uncertainty and doubt and kept going anyway. Because behind every successful woman is a story of resilience, growth and choosing to stand out even when it felt uncomfortable. In Her Shoes is about those stories. It's about going beyond the titles and understanding the journey, the setbacks, the pivots, the struggles, and the lessons that shape who someone becomes. So if you've ever felt like you're still figuring things out, you're in the right place. So let's step into her shoes. Today I'm joined by Sammy Wright, founder of wedVs, a workplace and domestic violence consultant and a lived experience advocate, doing incredibly important work in this space. But also, on a slightly more personal note, Sammy was actually my boss back in her recruitment days. So if I sound a little extra polished today, that's why. Sammy, welcome. I'm so excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Before we get into the incredible work that you're doing now, I'd like to take it back a little. Tell us a little bit about where you started. What was younger Sammy like?
And you know me, so I have to kind of share with the audience, I guess, but I was a complete tomboy. My dad and granddad, they wanted a boy in the family and I was one of three girls and I definitely took on that role.
Right.
And I grew up in a family business, which I consider myself very lucky for now because I think that I took so much of that when I was younger into now and I use it every day, frankly. But like growing up, I was a complete tomboy, all about sports, very competitive.
Okay.
Very competitive, a little bit too much sometimes, some would say. But yeah, I think that I was really the boy in the family. You know, we're always into sports, always working. And then my parents had a horticultural business, so we're always working in the nursery. They worked, 7 days a week and we were always at markets. And it was an interesting childhood. We grew up on 10 acres and
Amazing.
we had a great childhood, but my parents weren't around very much because they were working 7 days a week in the business. So it was a good childhood.
Did not know about that. You were a tomboy.
I don't think anyone who knows me now would think that I was such a tomboy growing up. But I guess, teenage years kicked in and hormones, all those things. And I was a complete tomboy growing up. Like trying to get me in a dress was like my mum's worst nightmare.
You
school.
cannot tell now, no.
Now I love a dress.
Who doesn't? And did you always have a clear vision of your career or for your career?
I really didn't. I think when I never had a really clear set vision, and I've given a lot of thought to this, but my family would say that I kind of always had a skill of landing on my feet.
Yep.
But the more mature I get, the more I realize I think I was just a really hard worker.
Yeah.
I think when I started in some businesses, I just had a really good, strong work ethic. And I think that stemmed from growing up in the family business, frankly, because you had to work. Otherwise you were sitting up till 12 o'clock at night. I think I was just a really hard worker, and I think I just kind of, as you know, we're in recruitment together, and I loved that. And I think I always went towards industries where it was like high performance or high pressure, looking back.
Yeah.
And like I was in real estate before I started in recruitment, then I was in training and operations, and I think everything really stemmed to wedVs as well, and I didn't even know it until it's funny because like as you're along the journey you don't realize all these little skills you get along the way, and now I use them every day, but at the time I didn't realize how important they were.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, amazing. And was there a moment or influence that shaped your direction early on?
I think that I was really lucky looking back, and I'm really cautious to make sure I give to others as well, because I had some really great mentors along the way and people who really put the time in with me and wanted me to be better. And looking back, I didn't realize how valuable it was at the time. And I think now it's a little bit lost. You know, I don't think as many people are willing to give the younger generation as much help along the way. And I think I was very grateful that I had those mentors that kind of steered me in the right direction and pushed me to be, you know, the better version of myself. And I look back on that now and I'm really grateful for it.
Yeah.
But so I think early on it was just those mentors, and even seeing my family, seeing how hard they worked.
Yeah.
You know, it was, it was a very, like, looking back, it was strange because, you know, my parents weren't around so much because they were working the 7 days. But I saw really strong work ethic. It's a good thing and a bad thing because, like, if I see someone working really, really slow, I get very frustrated, as you remember.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So if people are kind of like, and don't get me wrong, there's always time for, you know, laughs and play, and like, not from that angle, but I think very much I've just always had that really strong work ethic, and that really stemmed from my family growing up, but it also came from those mentors, and they really polished certain elements of me. Like, looking now in the work that I'm doing, it's very much consultancy, very much boutique, and you have to come at it from a real strategic angle. And like that comes from an IT consultancy that I worked at many years ago.
Yep.
And at the time I didn't realize. So I think I've just gained all these skills along the way, which now I'm using on a day-to-day basis.
And I do remember when we worked together as well, you helped me so much, and you took so much time to, you know, train me and help me along the way, which I still remember. And I think you have been like one of the very few managers who've done that. So yeah, so I can definitely attest to that. And what did success look like to you back then?
I think like everyone, when you're younger, you don't have enough knowledge of the world yet. You think what success is money, cars, big houses, expensive holidays. So when I was younger, that was very much my view of success. It's completely changed now.
Yep.
Which probably stemmed from when I had my daughter. I think everything really changed for me. You know, success now looks very, very different for me anyway. But yeah, I think at the time when I was younger, it was very much like big cars and, you know, big houses and live on the beach. And I don't know why, but Miami comes to mind for me. And I just want to say thank you so much for saying that about when I was managing you, because, that just, it warms my heart, and you're an incredible person, and I feel very grateful to be sitting here with you.
You're incredible. No, and that's the truth. Like, you always remember those people who like help you, you know, especially when you start off somewhere new. So yeah, that's definitely.
Do you remember the first time I interviewed you?
Yes.
I was like,
I do.
This is the one. No one. People were trying to talk me out. I was like, no, she's the one.
I didn't think I got the job, but yeah.
Because I'm very persistent.
And here we are.
Here we are, exactly.
So I think people often see where someone is now, but not the moments that got them there. How did you get into the field you're in today?
So my story wasn't all rainbows and unicorns. I think there's something really powerful from when you can create something good from something bad. And for me, when I was 19 years old, I was a victim of workplace violence, and I've shared that with you before. And I was only 19 years old. I hadn't found my voice yet. And I remember going to my, the manager at the time. They didn't really have HR teams back there. I'm showing my age as I say that. HR wasn't really a thing. But I remember going to the manager and explaining what had happened, and it was just, they were only concerned about if I'd spoken to someone, or they didn't ask me once if I was okay, or it was just be silent pretty much.
Yeah.
And at 19, you're not fully, you haven't really found your voice yet. So I just left the role. So I just left the position. It was a crummy position in the sense like it was a bad environment, bad people. It was just not a nice place to work.
No.
So I did. So I just left the role. And then fast forward over a decade later, I was in the father of my daughter. He was abusive, and I think it changed me in a way, because for me, I only met him the day I announced I was pregnant, which was really scary, and it's left me with a weird complex on, you know, if people are who they are appearing to be, because I met a completely different person the day I announced I was pregnant. He really wanted me to get pregnant, and then when I did, it just the abuse started almost instantly as well. And when you're pregnant, you're very protective, obviously, and you're just trying to. And frankly, like, I've never really shared how bad it was with you yet, Mina, but the fact that I'm still sitting here is really quite incredible. And I count my lucky stars for that, because it was really bad. And that was 2 occasions in my life where 2 workplaces didn't support me. I got no support from where I was working at the time as well. This was in Ireland, so it was a different country. But, and I think from that, I started speaking to other survivors, other victims, and it was just a very common theme that businesses or companies weren't supporting their people, whether they were experiencing workplace violence. A lot of it was getting covered up, or I think everything has changed a lot now, like in the sense that there's been huge changes with Victorian legislation as well around psychological hazards. So I think a lot of businesses are trying to do something, or they just don't know what to do. And so I guess the story stemmed from a really bad situation, but and that realization, like, why doesn't this exist? Why are there no consultancies that are specializing in this particular area? There tends to be like a lot of generalists, like a lot of like generalist EAPs, but we're very specialized in, you know, workplace and domestic violence. So my story stemmed from something bad, but I've tried to make something good from it.
Yeah, amazing. And I absolutely love what you do, and I think it's incredible. And what were some of like the turning points in your journey?
I think one of the biggest turning points in the journey with wedVs specifically was the realization that there are so many businesses that don't know how to handle when violence happens at work, whether that be verbal, physical, mental, you know, there's lots of different ways that abuse can happen in the workplace. But I think from that angle, there just wasn't enough out there. Like there just wasn't enough information. And in my mind, I thought it was like everyone knew what to do. I guess well, that's what I initially thought. I thought, you know, can this really be a business? Is this a real need? Is this a real requirement? Because in business, you're always trying to find a solution. And was there a big enough problem? And I guess that realization, to answer your question, that realization that not all businesses have it all worked out. And a lot of them do want to partner in this space as well, instead of, you know, that more kind of generalist feeling. So I think that was the turning point.
Were there moments where things almost didn't work out?
I think any business the first year is scary. There are so many moments where you're worried about paying wages, you're worried about paying this, that, or the other. You're worried if you should invest in a certain space. Marketing is insanely expensive as well.
Can you imagine?
So I think that anyone who would say the first year is like breezy is, you know, dreaming, frankly. So I think the first year is always that scary point. And I have this theory that if you just kind of keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, eventually it will land. So eventually, but in business, when you're first starting out, you don't know when it's going to land. You don't know when you're going to get your first big client or when you're going to get a surprise ATO bill or whatever it is. You know, so you just got to be very mindful that there are going to be a lot of setbacks, but you've got to lean into them. And especially when you're starting your own business, you need to be, you know, across so many different areas, and it can be quite challenging. So I think, there was so many times where it could have failed. But there was also a lot of times where things didn't work out and we just pivoted. We just went, all right, that didn't work. And I think you can't be I think you shouldn't be anyway, so rigid in how you operate. Like, you need to be quite flexible and fluid, because not everything's going to go to plan, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And just on a side note, like, how long have you had your business for now?
We've gone 1 year and 3 months now. So we're past the scary point, which was really a nice feeling. But that, I remember before we got our first client on, and, you know, it was kind of scary. I'm like, you know, going out in a new space, and I was doing a lot of work in the training more so. So we'll do it going on site, doing trainings with businesses around workplace and domestic violence. And, you know, I think even those initial, like getting those first few clients, like it was pretty scary, you know, just initially, but then it just becomes second nature.
Yeah.
And when, like, jumping back to what we're saying about, you know, something fails not a bad thing. Fails, like, I would debate that success is just how many times do you keep getting back up? Because, I think that if you get so rigid, then it can make it really hard.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I love the way you look at that, and I can imagine like the first couple of months would have been like so overwhelming for you as well, like with all the different things you had to sort of navigate. What risk did you take that changed everything?
I think the biggest risk that, see, you know me, so it's a little bit strange, but because you know this about me, but one of the things about me, and I love it about me, but it is also challenging at times. When I make up my mind or when I make up a decision, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
Your heart's
I'm
set
like
on it.
laser focused. There is like an earthquake couldn't shake me.
Yeah.
And I really do love that about me. And I've only done it like a handful of times in my entire life that I can think of. And this was one of them. This was this realization, like, this is what I'm doing. Go for it.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest risks was when I rented out St Kilda, and you remember when I was renovating St Kilda. I loved my place in St Kilda. My daughter loved the place in St Kilda. She had all of her bedroom all picked out and all this kind of stuff. But it was one of those moments where I knew that if I wasn't gonna go for it, when was I going to?
Yeah.
So I really had to commit to it, and that was a hard moment for me, like deciding to rent out St Kilda, and we've got a great tenant now, and it's all good. But that was something that was one of the first risks that we took. And last year I remember investing a lot of money. It was like 10-12 grand, I think it was, into one of the like health and safety shows as well. And at the time when I was like having, because you had to buy like the ticket in advance, obviously. And I remember at the time we didn't have much money in the bank. Like, we were cutting it pretty fine, and I still had wages coming out. I was working on a project, but I knew that I had to be in this show because I'm like, this is where all of our clients are going to be, in this one spot. And I'm really glad I did that, because like a week after I paid for it, we got another big client on. So I was like, okay. So sometimes you have to take the risk. You can make it educated. Don't get me wrong. You can make it an educated risk. But sometimes you have to risk it. And like, I see a lot of it now. Like, I have a lot of people reach out to me who are starting their own businesses, which I love. And, you know, I did that when I was starting my business, and no one came back to me. I go back to everyone, just saying. But, and I have a lot of people reach out to me who are going to start businesses. And I think there's a little bit of a misconception. You need to be willing to make a risk. You can't live the fantastic lifestyle and, you know, do all the things, and you need to maybe not go on that holiday. Because you do need to make the risk. You can't, and there has to be some sacrifice there along the way. And I think that's what a lot of people aren't comfortable with doing.
Because everyone wants to, like, right now.
Or yesterday. And everything takes time. And it depends on you on how long that takes.
Absolutely. And you'd be so great to give advice to other women about business. And I know whenever I've needed to, like, advice on things, I've always turned to you as well. So you'd definitely be great for that. Did you ever feel like you weren't ready, and how did you move through that? I feel like you kind of covered that a little bit, but if we really went deeper into it.
I think our brains and our bodies are naturally designed to protect us. So I think that feeling that you get when you're nervous, or where you're thinking to yourself, oh, should I do this? Should I not do that? That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely, if I waited for the right time, I would have never done it.
No.
Sometimes you have to just jump.
Yeah.
You really do. And there's a skill to it. There's an art to it. And doing it is really scary. Like, I'm a single mum. Like, sometimes I had moments like where I was like, what are you doing? Like, seriously, what are you doing? Like, it's not just you anymore, Sammy.
Yes.
You've got a little one who's looking out. You're her only source of finance, you know. But you just need to go for it if you want a better lifestyle or if you want a better life for your family, for your friends, whatever it is that motivates you, you need to be willing to take that risk.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's such an important conversation to have, because people often think that confidence comes first, when sometimes you just have to start before you fully feel ready for it.
Confidence comes with the experience.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. And what's something people don't see about your journey?
I think how many times I did fall down, really. I think there were so many times where I was like, all right, messed that one up. I have to I really didn't think that was going to happen, you know. But I think and the longer I do this, the more I'm interested, and that's why I'm so grateful to be here as well, because I'm really interested in the journey as well. I'm very cautious these days of when people talk about their success so openly, I guess, or so like more of a gloating side to it. And I'm like, tell me about the failures. They're the things that really interest me. And not in a like, I want to know all the negative stuff, but it's more so from a place that if you are, you know, super successful, the times that you've fallen down and gotten back up, that's the real interesting stuff to me. And I think that's the stuff we need to talk about more, especially with people who are wanting to go into business, because they say that, you know, businesses fail. I can't remember the percentage, you'll probably know, like in the first 12 months, the amount of businesses that go under. And I would say that that's probably because people have this fantasize, you know, unicorns and lollipops and rainbows version, where it's not. It's not that. Yes, you can get to where you want to be eventually, but it's not going to be in that first kind of 12 months. You need to, like we said, you know, make those sacrifices.
That's right.
And good things come as well. Like I couldn't imagine working for anyone else again. Yeah. As you know, I wasn't a very good employee.
No,
I question too much. I have too many questions, and I just think that we should work smarter. But not all employers were, you know, not all businesses want that. Some just want you to just do the work and that was it. But, you know, I think my brain just works a bit differently. It just didn't really suit that kind of corporate environment, and now I'm really grateful that I get to build my team. And it's nice to think that I'm able to give back to, you know, my people, and as I'm growing, they're growing, and we're growing the entire business.
I think there comes a time as well in your career where you just know you're ready to just go out on your own. So maybe that was a moment for you.
I think so. I think it definitely was. I think once you've seen past the curtain, have you heard that saying before? No. You're like, once you've seen past the curtain, like, you know, I would sit in the board meetings and I would see how they operate, and we have this like weird misconception that they have all the answers, and you know what I mean by that. But and then the day you realize that they don't, and that you can do it better or you can do it smarter, and that's not an overconfidence thing, but that's just the reality when you're going, wait a sec, I thought you're the one who's meant to be the you know, GM on like 150 whatever. But I think that realization that you can do it better and smarter. And definitely. I think more women should be in business, frankly.
And what would you say is one of the hardest periods you went through professionally or personally?
I would say definitely what I was sharing with you earlier about the abusive relationship. I think that was really, really hard on me because I didn't, back then I didn't know as much as what I do now. And what I didn't realize back then is that abuse doesn't discriminate. And, you know, I thought back then anyway that girls like me or women like me don't have those kinds of people in their lives, and I was really wrong. But in the same breath, I'm really grateful for it because I have my beautiful daughter, who you know, who told me to say hello today, and
Tilly.
and also I was able to build this. I wouldn't have been able to build this without the lived experience, because I think that the lived experience is there's such a gap in there, and you know, I think that we need to be listening to people who have actually experienced it, not necessarily learnt it out of a textbook.
What is the percentage of like workplace domestic violence?
Workplace violence, I'm going to shock you right now, 49% of Australians have experienced workplace violence in Australia. Which is disgraceful. I was even shocked by that. I was genuinely shocked by that. That was done from an independent report. The lady, I think she's from the UK initially, but they did that report. And I think it was like out of 129 countries, and Australia and New Zealand are at the very top.
Very top.
Yeah, and that kind of raises another question on why that is the case. Yeah. And what I was saying earlier about there's been so many changes to psychological hazards, so in workplaces, because of bullying, because of workplace violence, and it's really unfortunate that it's gotten to the point where the government said we left it to the businesses to do the right thing. You haven't, and now we're sitting at 49%. The Australian government must be mortified that Australia is at the highest, and these are things that aren't discussed. And it's not until you start to really educate yourself on it that you start going, this is a lot worse than what we thought it was. So that's on workplace violence. 1 in 3 women are victims of domestic violence. It depends on what report you look at, but every report keeps saying it's 1 in 16 men are experience domestic violence. I think that's a lot higher from the work that we do. I think men are very misrepresented in this space as well, but it's pretty severe. And like last year, we lost 110 women to murder. There's no better word for it. They keep saying, like in newspapers, other things, but it's murder when being murdered from their ex-spouses or spouses. So it's a real issue.
And they say it's most of the time it's someone close to you, isn't it? Like
it is, unfortunately.
Did you ever experience self-doubt or imposter syndrome?
I have a good theory for you on imposter syndrome. I have been looking forward to this question because I have a theory that imposter syndrome is our body or our brain trying to make us better. Hear me out.
Right.
Hear me out. Wait for it. Everyone's been in the meeting before where there's that person who is ridiculously overconfident, sounds like an absolute nuffty, saying all the wrong facts. We know them. Oh, can we put a code word in here? No, I can't. No, I can't. No comment. But you know that person. We've all met that person in a boardroom who is overconfident, keeps and is saying all the wrong information. They have never had imposter syndrome in their life because they are just so confident. Yeah. I would rather have imposter syndrome and push myself to be better than be that person in the boardroom. So I think imposter syndrome, I think you're always going to question if you could have come at things from a better angle, but I would much rather be that person than be the person who has no idea what they're talking about and never questions themselves, because you're never going to grow that way. Yeah. So I'm actually really grateful. And I know people have said to me like, oh, stop, Sammy. Like, you know, but I think it's a good thing. And I think when you start to lean into it and realize, hey, this is a good thing. Yeah. I think you can just shift your thought pattern on what imposter syndrome is. And that helped me anyway. But yeah, I've definitely had so many points where I'm like, who the hell are you? Like, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
But I think when I kind of changed my perspective on it, it changed how I looked at it.
Amazing. Well, I love your theory on it and definitely going to keep that in mind. How did you navigate setbacks and failure?
I think that probably something I've been very good at, and something I'm trying to teach my daughter to do as well, is don't take it so personally. You know, don't take, a client says no to you.
Yeah.
So what? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So what?
Yeah.
They said no. Okay, tell me why.
Yeah.
And the only thing I would say is ask why. We always shy away from the information for some weird reason. But I would always lean into understanding why you didn't get that business, because then you can improve it the next time around. And I'm really lucky in the sense that, because when I first started, of course, I questioned things, but now I'm really confident when I know that if I get in front of a decision maker, I'm going to get the business, because I know that I'm good at what I do, and I know that what I'm delivering and what my team are delivering isn't like anything else on the market as well, which is a nice place to be.
Yeah.
But that's come with time.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely teaching Tilly as well, like, she's going to fall down. You've just got to learn to get yourself back up again and dust yourself off and keep moving. Because if you're always moving, even if it's like, if you're having a bad day, so what? It's just a bad day.
That's right.
The next day is going to be better. But if you get 1, 2, 3 actions that you wanted to get done, that's progress.
Yeah.
Always just be moving a little bit at a time.
Yeah, beautiful. And yeah, Tilly's lucky to have you.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. And what kept you going in the moments where it felt too hard?
This is going to sound so corny. Failure wasn't an option for me. There was no way that I was going to lose Tilly's house that I told you how I rented out. There was no way that I was losing that. I don't have a support net. So in a weird way, I think that's a good thing. I think, I don't mean a support net, like I don't have a plan B is my point.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I could now go back and work in spaces where I've worked in before. Like, it's never kind of crossed my mind, like, oh, maybe I should go back and work for that company that paid me a good salary or whatever it was. This is just my laser focus is clocked in. I'm moving forward, and the business will be better than will be, have improved in a year's time, 2 years' time, 3 years' time, 4 years' time. Like, this is a business, and this is what we're moving forward on.
Amazing.
So failure isn't an option for me.
I want to shift slightly into reflection, because I think that's where growth changes the way we see the world and ourselves. What is a belief you once had that you have now changed your mind on?
I used to think that in order to be successful, you had to be flexible.
Yep.
And I don't believe that. I believe that you need to be, don't get me wrong, in elements, but your vision needs to be laser focused. What the business will be, as a founder or someone, a manager, whoever it is, the people who are leading the business forward, you need to be non-negotiable on what your vision is, and it can't be shifted. But you need to be flexible with the plan. You can't be so wrapped up in it going a certain way, because things change.
Yeah.
You can't be so caught up on that. I don't know if I've shared this with you before, but I was offered external investment for the business.
Okay.
And they wanted very much a, like a generalist EAP kind of model, because there's good money in EAP.
Yeah.
So that's what they wanted. And what I wanted was very much a boutique consultancy around workplace and domestic violence.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. And I was going back and forth for a long time, but I knew, and I know plenty of people who are founders, and they're now in businesses that it doesn't feel like their business anymore, because when an external investor comes in, they want to make changes.
Yeah.
And that's understandable as well, because they're the money, frankly. So I think you just need to be non-negotiable on your vision, and that can't change. That just can never change. But I think that, just be more flexible on the plan itself.
Yeah, amazing. So what do you think triggered that shift for you?
So there was actually, this is a funny story. So there was a when the investors were wanting to partner with me or wanted me to do all the work but give me money, let's just call it what it is. So they very much wanted to go into a certain space, and it would be quote unquote an easier space, like more like corporate. I don't know. Yeah. And there's a particular sector that we're in now, which they never would have let me go into.
Right.
And this is where I see us really growing.
Okay.
This is going to be like our
Game
sweet
changer.
spot. Like this is going to be, everything's going to change. But I never would have had that opportunity to even step in the door had I have gone with that external investor, because they would have just said, no, too hard.
Yeah.
But the hard clients aren't necessarily bad clients, but you can make real impact. And it depends what your motivation is. So in everything, in life, in business, whatever it is, once you understand a motivation, you can understand how you're going to go about it. The investors, their motivation's money, and that's okay. They're giving you money. They want money in return. That's okay. My motivation is very much about a business with impact and a business with purpose. And yes, we want to make money along the way. Yeah. But because our interests weren't on the same, they weren't aligned. Yes. So because of that, I couldn't see how it would have worked. So I was really happy that even back then when I had nothing, had no money, I didn't know if I was going to make my next mortgage payment, mind you. I was happy that I still had that clarity of mind to know that wasn't right for me. And I do put it down to that I did know a lot of people who had businesses, who had got investment, and, their stories weren't as, they were kind of in businesses that they didn't recognise, and they're the ones who started. I didn't want that for me.
No, because it sounds like you're very aligned with your purpose, and that's why you started it, because it was the alignment and you didn't want to shift away from that.
Yeah. And I think so many businesses these days, they don't know what their purpose is. Yeah. It's like, what's your purpose? We don't know. Yeah. But they'll have all their, what are those things called? The values. The values. So they'll have all the values on the wall, and you're like, what's your values? Like, we don't know. So I think that businesses should be always aligned with a purpose.
Yeah. Amazing. I agree. And how has a new belief changed the way you live or work?
Well, I think that coming at it from a point of purpose is really important, like we were saying, and, being able to go into a space that I wouldn't have had access to previously. And like I said, I think this is a space where we're really going to be able to make the most impact. And I think there's also something really special about really loving the clients you're working with. Yeah. And really them loving you and you loving them. Yeah. And we're in a heavy space. Yeah. We're having heavy conversations about really heavy situations. We're talking about people's lives, and it can be very heavy. So I think if you can come at it from a place of, yes, empathy, understanding, but also we're in this together. Yes. And I think that's really important as well. And I don't know if I would have had that necessarily if I did go with those investors and I was, sitting more within that corporate space.
What have you learned about yourself through your journey?
I'm tough. I know how that sounds, but I am. Like, I don't shy away from much, and I like that about me. I get scared like anybody else. Like, I think that we've all had moments of doubt, and that's very natural. It's a very natural human reaction. But, that ability to, just get knocked down and get back up again. And I think a lot of that I realise that a lot of that has come from my childhood, because, growing up in a family business, like, everyone thinks family business. Like, I saw really hard times for my parents. Like, they went through droughts and all these kinds of really horrible times, like not knowing if we're going to be having Christmas. And, so I think I never had this misunderstanding about it being all peachy all the time. And I'm really grateful for that. So I think I've learnt along the way that I will get through it. And if I can't figure out a way, I have this really good ability of surrounding myself with amazing people, which I think is such a skill as well. Like, you're a good example.
Oh, stop.
But I think, just that ability to get up and keep going and surround myself with good people. And if I don't have the answer, that's fine. I'll find someone who does. Yeah. So I think that's really important as well.
That's beautiful. And if you could go back, what would you tell younger Sammy?
Do it sooner.
Yeah.
Should have done it sooner.
Yeah.
I should have, don't get me wrong, a lot of the experiences I had were wonderful, but I should have done it sooner. That's the only thing that I regret.
I want to bring it back to the heart of the podcast. So if someone were to step into your shoes today, what would they need to know?
You need to go for a walk in the morning. Otherwise, your ADHD brain will send squirrels in your head for the entire day and you won't get any work done. So, no, I think honestly you need to take care of yourself as well. Being a single mum, sometimes you put all and that's okay. No, I'm not complaining. But I think you need to also do the self-care as well in order to perform better in those moments, because, when you're in, highly stressful environments, you do need to perform. Your brain needs to be sharp. You need to be switched on. So I think, taking care of yourself along the journey as well is very important.
Great advice, Sammy. And what advice would you give to women trying to build something for themselves?
Do it. Just do it. I think, like we were saying, more women need to be in business. And I think that I think naturally, I've given a lot of thought to this, but I think that women sometimes question ourselves a bit too much, and that's okay. I think maybe like the imposter syndrome example, maybe that's us just trying to protect ourselves. But I think that sometimes you have to just lean in instead of lean back. If you can find a mentor, I think that was really important in my journey as well. Find someone who's, willing to sit down and nut it out with you, because sometimes you might have all the ideas, but actually putting it into practice can be a bit challenging. So, I think that would be my advice. Just do it.
Sammy, thank you so much for sharing your story so openly. I know these conversations aren't always easy, and I really appreciate you being here today. I think one of the biggest takeaways from today isn't really about having everything figured out. It's about continuing to show up, learning through the hard moments, and having courage to keep going. So if people want to connect with you and learn more about your work, where can they find you?
So you can find our website at www.wedVs, wedvs.com.au, or you can email us at hello at wedVs, wedvs.com.au.
Thank you to everyone listening and for being here for the very first episode of In Her Shoes. If this conversation resonates, please make sure you follow along for more stories like this. And if anything from today's episode brought something up for you, please reach out to support services in your area. You're not alone. Thank you again, Sammy, for coming on today. And until next time, let's step into her shoes.